Thank you so much, Davian. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really glad you're here. Thank you for joining us for this AdventHealth East Orlando ICC expansion virtual panel discussion. My name is Angie, and I am the Internal Mobility Ambassador here with AdventHealth, providing talent acquisition support to internal team members who are ready to take the next steps in their career. My role during this virtual panel discussion will be to ask questions to our panelists and to guide us through the conversation. Just so you know, all of our attendees' mics and cameras have been placed on mute throughout the duration of this discussion, and we would very much like for you to have all of your thoughts, your questions, any kind of engagement to be put into the chat, because we're going to have the chat moderated throughout the entirety of our discussion by our panelists, as well as some of the moderators, Sylvia and Walter, who are joining us. Before we get kicked off, we're actually going to share a video about our employee value proposition so you can see and feel just how much our employees mean to us.
Your head up, shake the dust off, tell me what you're made of. I can't hear you, I can't hear you. Breath in our lungs, beating our hearts. Today, it's a brand new day.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It gets me every single time. I get jazzed up and my heart just beams. So speaking of heart beaming, I love this wonderful team that is here to have this panel discussion with you, and I am going to allow them to introduce themselves. So please say your name, talk about your role within the facility, how many years have you been with AdventHealth, and just anything you want to share with us as we kick off this time together.
Well, maybe I will start, if that's okay. My name is Lydia Hendricks, and I am the Chief Nursing Officer here at AdventHealth East Orlando. I just celebrated my 25-year anniversary with AdventHealth. And when I think back to when I first started as a graduate nurse here many, many years ago, it has been an amazing journey. Just tons of opportunity to grow and to learn. And most of all, just being part of a work family that really is just one big team here. And so I am so thrilled that everybody has been able to join us today and learn more about our critical care expansion here at East Orlando. Lots of exciting things on the horizon.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Carrie Ann?
Well, hi everyone. My name is Carrie Ann Farrow, and I'm the Director of Nursing for the ICU and the ICC. I'm so glad that I'm really enjoying the chat, reading about where everyone's coming from. As you can tell from the accent, I traveled a little far to be here. This is my first year with AdventHealth, and what a year it's been. I love East. It's just like I came to family and came to home. So we're really excited to talk to you about our new expansion, and I'm going to pass it over to Kelly.
Hello, my name is Kelly Bassett. I'm the ICU nurse manager here at AdventHealth East Orlando. And just a fun fact is that I started here 12 years ago as a GN on this campus at East Orlando. So it really is truly my home, away from home. I spend a lot of time here just as much as I do at home. And I'm an ICU nurse through and through. And this expansion is very close to my heart. So I'm really excited that you've all joined us today. I think I'll introduce my assistant nurse manager next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ray Perez. I am the assistant nurse manager here at AdventHealth East ICU. I've been here my whole career. I've been a nurse for a little bit over 10 years. Started off here on the med-tele PCU floors, done ICU and then rapid response, and now I'm an assistant nurse manager. And I'm really excited to be here because it is a family. People know you by your first name. They know the things you like, and they know where you want to be at and what you want to do. So it's a really close unit here, and I'm really excited about our ICC because the greatest thing I've seen our hospital do is adapt to what the community needs, and the ICC is going to do that for us. So we're super excited to talk about that today and answer any questions our fellow guests might have. And I'll pass this along over to Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm one of the nurses on the unit. I actually started here as a new grad about a year and a half ago.
I'm loving it.
I've already gotten to see and do so much, and I've had a lot of fun doing a bunch of different things, training, being on the unit, loving it.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Let's meet you.
Yes, I'm going to jump in. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today participating. My name is Lauren Worley, and I'm the lead nurse educator here at East Orlando for the inpatient nursing units. And like Lydia, next year, I guess, is my 25-year anniversary. So I'm really proud of that. And I actually am a product of our local university, which was called Florida Hospital College at the time. So this is home, you know, like Kelly said, home away from home. I remember when Ray was hired as a new grad. I too started as a grad. So, you know, we see a lot of successes and growth opportunities here, and we celebrate, you know, one another as we, you know, move into different roles and continue to grow. And East Orlando is so special to me. I worked for many years at the Orlando campus, much larger campus. And East has, you know, a degree of intimacy that I think we all really appreciate, because beyond clinical skills, we have opportunities to have, you know, what I would call God moments with patients and visitors. And it's just a really, really special spiritual place to be. So I'm really happy that you're joining us, and, you know, we'll learn more about, you know, we can kind of show off and share our facility with you. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Susan, would you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Susie Heiler, and I came on over the summer. And so far, I am very impressed with this organization and the people within it. It's a great, great environment. And I am a recruiter, and I was brought on to support the nurse residency hiring. And I work with Ken Kingsbury, and we hire the nurse residents at East.
Thank you. Ken, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was afraid if I took a sip of coffee that you would call on me next. So it's all good. My name's Ken Kingsbury. I work with Susie very closely for the nurse residency team. I cover East Orlando as well as some other campuses, but we are talking about East today. So that's why Susie and I tag team it, because there's a lot of exciting things going on. I have been here for about 2 years in the nurse residency program. Have seen it grow immensely and the demand grow immensely. So we're really, really happy to have you guys all joining us. And as a recruiter, not only can I be a resource for nurse residency, but answer any other questions or gladly align you with the proper resources for who you can speak with in order to apply and get in through interview for the position you're looking for. So I'd be glad to help anyone out with that needs it as well.
And Manny, would you please introduce yourself for us?
Absolutely. Welcome, everyone. My name is Manny Rescon. I'm the HR VP, Human Resources Business Partner at East Orlando. I have been with the organization for almost 15 years now. Started my career straight out of college with AdventHealth. So I like to believe that this is where I plan on retiring with the organization. Love working for AdventHealth. Recently came to East Orlando because of the culture that we have here at East Orlando. It's a very family-oriented environment, and can't wait to tell you a little bit more about it as we get into our conversation. But truly, this is where we get to live out the mission of extending the healing ministry of Christ in our community and within our own walls as well, too. So I'm excited to talk to all of you today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And once again, to our attendees, all of your mics have been placed on mute, and we would love for you to interact with us, share your thoughts, your stories, your questions in the chat. The chat is being moderated by our very own Walter and Sylvia, as well as the entire panel today. So please know that we are going to try to get to everybody's questions, just so you understand how important it is to us to hear from you. So let's dive right in and talk a little bit about AdventHealth. As we know, AdventHealth has many facilities throughout the area, and what makes East Orlando different than other facilities for those who are unfamiliar. And I am opening that up to anybody who feels like they want to dive in.
Angie, it's Lydia again. If I can jump in here just to give some high-level context around East Orlando. So we are a 300-bed hospital located really in the heart of Central Florida. We are the campus of many in our system here in Central Florida that is closest to the airport. So if you look on a map and look at Orlando International Airport, we're the hospital that's very closest to that. We are a busy campus. We, fun fact, have the busiest emergency department in all of AdventHealth nationally. So we see approximately 140,000 ER visits annually. We we're a growing community. So this community in Central Florida and the community that we serve is one of the fastest growing in the state. Hence, we are developing our ICC to serve those community needs, as Ray said earlier. We've got some really unique growth opportunities happening here on campus in terms of developing our cardiac program. We have a third cath lab that's in construction right now. We just acquired an XI robot for robotic surgeries as we recruit new surgeons and new specialists. Of course, our ICU expansion is underway. Orthopedics is big. We have an amazing simulation and training lab here. But I think that most of all, above and beyond all of the cool stuff and clinical stuff that's going on, I know what drew me immediately to this campus is the family feel here. You will feel it immediately. And I know others have spoke to that and they will speak as we go on. But from a campus perspective, it is one of the fastest growing in our system. We have 2 freestanding ERs attached to us that serve our community as well. So that's a high level, and I'll pass it along to another team member who wants to share some more.
I would love to share next, Lydia. So as Lydia said, it's really a family feel here at AdventHealth East Orlando. And something that kind of sets us apart, what Angie was asking is, you kind of heard it in all of our introductions. Many of us have worked at this campus our whole careers. So the level of engagement from the leadership in the C-suite all the way down to your direct leader that you report to really takes the time to get to know you as an individual and what your goals and what your what you want your future to look like. So working for a company, especially a campus that really wants to know you as a person and get you where you want to go, is really what attracts people here and keeps people like myself here at this campus. AdventHealth is a big company and we have lots of available resources and other campuses to grow to, but when you have that support from the person that cleans the floors, to the person that gives you the food, to the person all the way up, like Lydia herself, with open door policies all the time, it's really hard to leave a place like this. So I think that's really what sets us apart.
I love that you touched on what keeps you here at AdventHealth East Orlando. And I would love if anybody else wanted to share something special that makes them feel seen and heard and keeps them at this specific facility.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share that. Yeah, I'll share that I just had a recent personal experience of my mom being here in the hospital. And as I said, this is my first year with AdventHealth, and I wondered what was going to kind of happen. And it was so funny, but I got given a really beautiful fleece blanket when I came on board. And all I can explain to you is the people here were like another blanket, and they completely wrapped around me and kept me and my mom and my dad safe. So I am really emotional about the love and care that my family received here. And that's from a personal perspective as well as with the professional perspective too. I'm going to hand that back to Ray.
Thank you, Carrie Ann. I just wanted to say what's really, really cool about here is how engaging everyone is, and it's like a brotherhood and a sisterhood. I remember like when I first came here, and I probably talked to a few people, but then I would be on another floor and people would come up to me and say, "Oh, hey, you're Ray. I heard about you. I heard about this, and this." And it's not like a social gossiping. It was more like it's just a social network. Like people wanted to find out who you were and what you liked, and wanted to know more about you. And that's what made this place feel like home. You know, I remember I could probably choose. We have so many Advent Health locations around here that you could choose to work to. Everything's very centralized, but I chose this place because it felt special to me. So that's what I love about our location.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And so let's take a step out just from our facility. And if anybody wants to talk to you, because we have some attendees who are joining us from outside of the Central Florida area, what is it like to live and work in the East Orlando region?
I would love to answer that question. I was raised in Fort Myers. I went to school in Gainesville. I've lived in West Palm and Jacksonville. Orlando to me is special. I've got two kids. When I moved here, they were one was 7, the other one wasn't born yet. But Orlando offers so much for families. There's so much to do. Not only with Disney and Universal and all the theme parks, but you're close to the beaches. You're close to a little bit of everything, and depending what you like, you do have the tourists. You do have the basketball, baseball's close, sports year round. Orlando, to me, here in Florida, is probably the best place to be at.
Thank you for sharing that. And as someone who lives 4 minutes away from the East Orlando campus, I can tell you how wonderfully convenient it is to have the major roadways 417 and the 408 really close by, so everything is accessible in a fast and easy kind of way. So yeah, whether it's Disney or even Winter Park, there's so much culture and history in this area, and it's all accessible. Lydia, were you about to say something, or I didn't want to?
I'm actually a transplant from the Northeast. I'm originally from New York, and I think I saw somebody at least from Connecticut on the chat here. So there is nothing like Central Florida as compared to the cold Northeast. I love the beach, and I moved here in my younger years and had fun time as a single woman, lots to do, lots of social activities, lots of outdoor activity. Then met my husband and raised my 2 children here in Central Florida. And it's just an amazing community where there's just so much to do, and it's constantly evolving. And so that's what I love. It's a very diverse community as well. A lot of people move here to Florida for these very reasons. And our campus reflects that diversity, I think, very well, and really just pulls it together, and hence we formed our family here. So
sure, thank you. And Lydia, this might be another question for you, or even Manny, or anybody who wants to jump in. If you can share a little bit about the East Orlando's vision for 2030, or the 2030 vision, excuse me.
I love that question, Angie, because we're always forward thinking, first of all, in this organization. And that's what I love. We try to be very proactive, forward thinking about extending our mission. So when we think about 2030, which is hard to do considering these 2 years we've just been through with COVID and all of that. But, you know, I think in some ways that's pulled us even closer together as managing through COVID as a team, and allowed us to think forward to the future. And so You know, we think of it basically as a pyramid and pulling together all of our core values as an organization. But without going into every single one, what I will say is that our number one aspiration revolves around our team. We're only as good as our team. And so hence we seek to bring on board and keep and grow our team members. And I would say that's central to all of our clinical business aspirations. We're growing by leaps and bounds here in Florida, but certainly around the country as well. And so I think of all of our aspirations for 2030, wanted to really highlight that one. Manny, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
I was going to touch exactly on that, Lydia, as well, too, is the team member promise that in this pillar, that is at the forefront of our vision. We do believe in investing in our team members. It's very important looking at things such as student loans, support, how do we support our team members, growth plan opportunities, and making sure that we stay competitive from even just a market pay perspective as well, too. In looking at opportunities, how do we bring resources for team members? We just went through a tough 2 years with COVID. How do we keep everybody whole from a mental perspective, a physical perspective as well too, and so forth. So it's probably one of the most important foundations of that 2030 vision, in my opinion. So we're excited and we look forward to the future as well too.
I love that you touched on those things. And I feel like there's a couple gems in there that I would love to unearth a little bit more. And one of them was talking about the mental health and just overall wellness resources that are available. And I would love to hear about how pervasive that is at the East Orlando campus and how it impacts you or your teams.
So I think I can talk to that a little bit from a unit standpoint. So obviously we're all in healthcare and we've all been through the last really 2 years, but this last surge of COVID really hit us in Central Florida pretty hard. And all I can say is that from the beginning of the pandemic, AdventHealth has kept every one of their employees whole. They did. I can remember back 2 years very vividly when COVID first started. And that was the first promise. It wasn't about masking and doing all that stuff. Yes, that was important. But the message from AdventHealth was always, we're going to keep you whole and we're going to make sure that our staff is taken care of during this whole pandemic. We never once wanted for PPE. There was never a question that it wouldn't be available for us. They did so much from a campus level, feeding the people on the COVID unit. This last surge, they went above and beyond to get mental health counselors that round on the units, talking to the nurses at all hours of the day. It wasn't just, 8 to 5. They're here all times of the day. We have a amazing, robust employee assistance program. We call it EAP. And there's so many available resources from mental health to other things that are available to employees here. And it's so funny because, the pandemic brought a lot of things to light, but especially mental health and that of the mental health of the caregivers. So it's something that not only have we been well taken care of now, but the things that AdventHealth is still putting forward and things that they have planned for the future for the health and well-being of our staff is really something I think that sets us apart from many healthcare organizations in the country.
Absolutely. And something else that Manny had touched on that's near and dear to my heart as internal mobility is the team member promise and the support for growth. And our career and professional development just rolled out a brand new site that talks about all of these wonderful resources available, whether it's resumes or interviewing or career pathing that they're putting out. That is so amazing. And then you have me who wants to help and advocate and answer questions. You're not alone. I feel that some people in their jobs past, there was some shame and fear around wanting to take that next step. And AdventHealth is about transparency in that space and what can we do to support and advocate for you. So I love that was brought up. And I just want to touch on that again to really show how much AdventHealth is invested in its team members.
Yeah, I
So-
can
Oh,
add to
please.
that. Yeah, so we talk about the growth opportunity. I'm going to let Kelly and Lauren talk to this a little bit in a minute, but they have been really inventive in taking our new hires or people who want to transfer and creating that growth within the system here at East. So creating the new ICC was really because the acuity we were seeing coming through the emergency department meant we were having to transfer people out that wanted to stay in their own community for the best care that we could provide. So we worked on modalities that we could offer here, and then we wanted to serve our community and of course serve the team who wanted to keep those patients here safe near their loved ones. So the ICC is going to be really special because across the whole 40 beds, we're going to have the capacity to upswing into 40 ICU beds. In fact, during the pandemic, we used every single one of those beds for ICU level of care, which is unbelievable. But if you think that we're driven by the emergency department, that kind of makes sense for the clientele that we would have. What we can do is we're going to train people to be able to look after all these levels of care whilst introducing new modalities and really fun stuff, because everybody loves to learn how to take care of different patients. It's never the same day here. You get a different patient every day. And it's so exciting because from a growth perspective, you learn so much. And I've never worked with such a team that loves to share information and knowledge. And that includes our physicians. So multi-collaborative rounds every day, and on the evening with our new intensivist director that's here. There's going to be a huge opportunity to learn from peers, but also from our RTs, our medical providers, and really create that whole multi-collaborative approach to wholeness care. So Kelly, Lauren, I'm going to give it to you to kind of talk a little bit. They call it their roadmap. It's so genius. They're so clever. So I'm going to hand it over to them to really talk about, if you want some fun with career growth, this is the place to be.
So we're so ahead of ourselves. You know, this is nursing and healthcare, right? So we'll actually share that later. We have it queued up already, I believe, to pull up that roadmap. But exactly what Carrie Ann said, my passion as a leader is really finding what your passion is. I love to find out the different strengths and things that my team has and kind of hone those skills. So everybody on the team brings something special, and really growing people to do what they really love. So Lauren and I have been very intentional about growing that plan in the ICU. So you know what's coming and what's available to you, and we can, leverage your strengths as well and help you in the areas that you might need some more help with. It's something that we're here at East Orlando, we're very big into education and growing your practice. So there's never a day that you're not learning. I always tell people, if you want to learn it, I'll find the information for you and we'll teach it to you. So it's something that we pride ourselves on here in the unit. Lauren can probably speak to that. She's really the bread and butter of all that education for us.
Thank you. I just wanted to share that, as I'm listening to you and Carrie Ann talking, I have so many thoughts going through my head because I, have been on this journey, like many of you, as, a new graduate and assimilating into this, very dynamic environment. And it can be very intimidating. So I think because of my experience, my focus, as well as Kelly, is first of all, the socialization, making those connections with our new staff members, because we know how, it can be so stressful, and there's so much anxiety because of the newness of everything. And I think when I was going through my own education as an educator, thought about, you learn about, what you do, but then how you feel. And I always felt like the how you feel part was not something that was addressed as fully as it should be. Because we know that when anxiety levels are high, it's really not a good opportunity for learning and to, really digest, what someone is trying to teach you. And so, Kelly and I actually had a conversation today, just about this, that, if there are some signs that, someone is struggling performance-wise, we need to think about what's behind that. Is there something emotional going on? So it's not just teaching the skills. Patients expect excellence in skill delivery, but it's also about, how you make connections and we try to come up with individualized plans for each employee to kind of meet them where they are. As an educator, it's sort of foundational to find out what the gaps are, not just the knowledge gaps, but maybe the emotional gaps, the needs, and really care for our employees in the whole person manner that we connect with our patients and families. So the roadmap kind of, developed from, that anxiety that we were seeing, knowing that we needed to share that the expectations from the beginning, are not, it can feel overwhelming, but, there's time to achieve all of these different milestones in sort of a map or a plan. And so we share that with our employees.
How wonderful to be heard and to be seen, and how valuable that is. How valuable to feel valuable. I would love to get into, it was mentioned a few times, the ICC expansion, and I would love to hear any juicy details that can be shared about that.
It's so funny that you asked, because we've been talking about a needed ICU expansion here. I've worked in this ICU first as a bedside nurse and now the leader for 8 or 9 years. And we've talked about the need for a growth in the ICU, and now it's finally here. And, I think the timeline changed a little bit with COVID. We had this whole master plans back in January. We were going to slowly roll it out, and it was going to be this great, nice progression. But I think COVID kind of gave us a front row seat to what was really needed in the community and kind of pushed us along a little bit. So we got a trial run, a dress rehearsal, as my husband calls it, before we actually rolled it out. So it was great because it actually got us to see things that we thought were going to work well that obviously didn't. And we were able to change things before we've even started. So the juicy details of that is currently we're a 24-bed multi-system ICU. And like Carrie Ann referenced before, no 2 days are ever the same, which is great in a critical care nurse's world, because that's what keeps us going, right? So we realized in this community, with having the busiest emergency room in all of AdventHealth, that we needed more critical care beds. So over the last years, the ICU itself has expanded, taking more service lines. Like we have a STEMI program here now. We're a stroke certified hospital. All of those things, we really, and our visions for the future, we needed some more beds. So we came up with a plan to expand to the 16 more beds for the critical care. And we, something that we've identified is that, if you've been in critical care before, that once the patient is stabilized from an ICU standpoint, sometimes the progression of care when we move them to another level kind of halts a little bit, and they kind of regress before they're able to move forward into their next level of care where they need to go, or their transition home. So we came up with an ICC unit, which is still going to be an ICU unit. All the nurses will be ICU trained, but it will allow us to provide that next level of still ICU care, but really concentrate on those things that are going to get the patients to the next level. Mobility, making sure that the intensivist is still overseeing them. So that continuation of, care from the providers, just that close ICU level nursing care, but on that transition journey home. So we identify that as a gap in here at AdventHealth, especially in the East Orlando market, something that we can do to better serve our patients and our community. And it allows us here in the campus, as nurse residents, I see a lot in the chat about, oh, do you hire nurse residents? Do you hire? Of course we hire nurse residents. I'm a product of the nurse residency program here at AdventHealth. So we love nurse residents. We have many of them in the ICU now. Jessica did her practicum here and then got hired here as a nurse resident. So we love nurse residents. So this will allow us, you're coming in as a brand new nurse, which is hard, but an ICU nurse, brand new nurse, is even harder. So it'll give you that transition that you need, where you can start with those lesser acute ICU patients and then work your way up. So it's beneficial for everybody.
That is truly remarkable. And I think that's really going to powerfully impact the community. And I love that, again, you're paying attention, you're listening, and you're delivering on what's needed. So what would it take to be a nurse on this ICC unit? Do they need to have previous experience? Are you training? Like what is it you're looking for? And then what are you looking for in addition to the skills? So
I'll talk again, and then maybe Ray could add a little bit something in what from a unit standpoint, what we're looking for. But I tell everybody all the time, Carrie Ann says it when we interview together, that, you know, we're not just interviewing the candidate, they're also interviewing us. So here at East, we, Lauren, the team, will give you all the skills that you need to be successful, but we're really looking for that person that's a culture fit for our unit and our campus. So beyond being, you know, the top ranked nurse in your class, we're really looking for those people that are wanting to learn and grow with us. So, you know, teamwork is very important anywhere in healthcare, but especially in an ICU. So we really look for those team members that want to be part of a team and a part of a family, because we really, really are a family here. I've seen people comment on that. You guys seem like a family. It's coming through the chat. It is. It really is. It's not, we're not just putting on a show. These are, you know, these are a lot of my best friends at work that are actually on this call. So it's really a family feel. So besides the competencies that they need to have as a nurse, really looking for that culture fit is what I look for when I'm looking for nurses for the unit. Ray, do you want to comment on any of that?
Thanks, Kelly. So what's really great about our ICC here, and I think the people that we want to have here, as Kelly touched on, is we want people that want to grow, that want to learn, that want to work in a team environment. There are going to be some days that are challenging, and there's going to be some days where you're like, this is the best thing I've ever done. The best part here is what our ICC is going to do is it's going to provide us to meet the demands of our community. And I know as I was raised in this ICU, and one of the biggest things that I used to remember is you would work so hard to get a patient better, and then they would leave your unit, and then a couple of weeks later they would come back, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? And now this gives us the opportunity to help our patients and help them through that whole transition process. They'll be in our ICC, they'll be with nurses, and I guess what we're looking for are good stewards. Someone that has the same passion and love that I would have. I would want someone to treat our patient like my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and those are the people that we're looking for to join our team. Because I would want to treat your mom and dad, your brother and sister like they were my own, and that's what we're looking for, and that's what we want here, and that's we're hoping that you would experience here.
Oh, wonderful. And I would love to take that next step further and talk about, if Davian, you don't mind sharing your screen to talk about that roadmap with the additional training and support that's available. Lauren, if you don't mind walking us through that.
Sure. So I saw in the chat as well a question about, qualifications for, the different training. So the nurse residency program is for new graduates, and that's a longer orientation period of about 15 weeks. But there are other opportunities. We have many training programs that we're really proud of. From a system standpoint, it's very, very robust and multifaceted blend of, different training modalities. But we have a transcultural assimilation program. We have a newer program called Transition to Acute Care for RNs that have some experience, but maybe not recent experience or no experience in acute care. That's another longer training period. So there's many opportunities, nurses that are in maybe a medical telemetry setting that are transitioning to acute care, ICU level. So there's many different opportunities to come into training. But the roadmap that we created was for the visual learners out there. We don't want it to be so intimidating because the ICU is so specialized, and that can kind of scare people off in their early days. So from hire to 3 months, there's some basic skills that are taught, through the one-on-one preceptorship, hemodynamics, of course, 12 lead EKG. During COVID, we had to come up with training therapy sessions and did that through simulation and had a proning team, neuromuscular blockades for the patients that, are on ventilators. So some of those skills will be acquired during that initial training period. But then, it makes sense to us to kind of delay introducing specialized training on different devices until a little bit later, getting acclimated to the unit and learning how to take care of the more stable ICU patients and then adding on. So at the 3 to 6 month mark from hire, we have a PCI program, the percutaneous cardiac intervention. Our cath lab, like we've mentioned, is growing. So everything related to that, care of the patients pre and post, sheath pulls. So very dynamic program there. What we call code cool, or targeted temperature management, and additional equipment, like ECOS, and then 6 to 9 months balloon pumps, and towards the end of that first year, adding some additional skills. So just to say that it's gradual, it's building blocks, it's kind of a general plan, but we certainly just determine readiness of staff members, and if they're ready for that next step, we'll move people along a little bit faster. So it's just to kind of give you a picture of how there's lots of growth opportunities within that first year and beyond. And just to mention as well for the new grads, because I know that can be a little bit intimidating, the training period. We use something called a married model of precepting, which has been proven through research to provide a more supportive environment for the new grads. And what that means, it's sort of like a hip to hip. The preceptor and the intern are together at all times. So that provides a safe learning environment as well as improved safety for patients. And the interns are shown to improve their clinical reasoning skills a lot more quickly because they have that connection and that constant support and direction being provided to them by an experienced preceptor. So we're very proud of that program as well.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. I think to add on that as well, we're about growth in all areas. So of course, the clinical thing is what everybody's very interested in, but Kelly is very good about identifying skills that you have, such as being a preceptor, whether you like to support people, whether you have leadership, whether you want to go into rapid response. And really just within our own area, there is so much an opportunity to be an educator, to be as I said, a rapid response nurse and leadership. We have really identified good leaders and provide the mentorship that you need to get to whatever is your next stream. We're all about succession planning and helping you get to where you want to be.
Somebody had asked in our chat, and then it kind of brings me into my next question. They asked if there were opportunities for respiratory therapists in your ICC. And so I wondered, are there? And then also, what other roles are, integral to this ICC?
Yeah, I can talk to that. So I'm very lucky. I have the respiratory therapists that work with us too. What we can do is we can definitely take any information. I want to connect people with the right people so I get the right answers for you. But our team we're joined like this with the ICU team, and they are wonderful. And we have a wonderful manager that looks after the team. So yes, if you can send us your details, we'll get those. We're also looking for really, really good nurse techs right now. We love to grow nurse techs as well. So we really love to get nursing students that can get in and really get experience on the job and understand the unit and what they need. It's a great learning opportunity for them. So if anyone out there is a student nurse right now and would look at the opportunity to come in first, and then, as we say, lead. I went as a nurse tech on the ICU to a staff nurse myself. So I know it's a great opportunity to see if you like the area and see if it's something that you're going to grow into. So we are looking for those. We're also looking for monitor techs and hooks as well, which is our secretary. But to be fair, they have the best job ever because they get to do so much stuff. And it's a real growth opportunity, and it's a very exciting role that we have here for them. So
I joke all the time, Carrie Ann. I don't run the unit, the Hucks run the unit. They are the pulse of this unit at all times of the day, and it is a job that I could never do myself. So they are integral to us.
Yeah, so if I have people here that are students or RNs and know other people that would be interested to join that kind of team, we're happy that you share our information out there.
I just wanted to add to that as well. As you've heard throughout today, it takes a team, right? And even beyond the walls of ICC, East Orlando has plenty of opportunity and varied positions for people to take a look at, apply to, because it takes all of us. And, I think that there's just no other way to do it. And we have many employees that have started in support departments, maybe even in transportation or EVS or even nutritional services that have grown. And that's that lighted career path that we've been talking about, and really try to understand, what are your desires? What are your goals and aspirations? And then we can grow you right here at East Orlando in that way.
With the increased demand for RNs with the pandemic, how is AdventHealth keeping wages competitive?
I'll speak to that. Gone are the days where we can just look here in Central Florida and call that the market that we're competing in. We really are up against a national market now. COVID certainly has given nurses different options, whether it's travel nursing or they've left the profession or left the bedside. And so in order to attract and retain talent, we have to stay competitive. And so just recently, actually, we had a market increase. We did a market analysis and did a market increase both in August and just last month in November. And I will say it was significant, the most significant we've had here at AdventHealth in my 25 years. And we are also committed from corporate down for the nurses at AdventHealth to do a market analysis quarterly instead of annually, as we used to do. And so we aspire and strive to stay just ahead of the market and really, again, attract and retain that talent. Moving forward into next year and in the future is all about stabilizing our workforce after these past 2 years that we've been through. And so obviously compensation is one way, but that really is part of a larger package of support and resources that we provide our team.
So talking a lot about people applying to positions, especially new nurses, graduate nurses, nurses that are new to us, what are some things that you look for on a resume that helps a candidate stand out to you?
So, I see so many resumes, and it's funny because I pick little things out that I'm like, oh, I really like that, or I really like that. But really, we really look for somebody that's well-rounded. Like you've heard, we have programs geared towards anybody. So experience is always lovely, but we are willing to train and love to train people. What's better than training somebody how you want your unit to run? So it's always good to have, that open-mindedness. So some things that really stick out on resumes for me. I like when they're not very long because I like a concise resume. I also like here in the East Orlando area, like Lydia said, we have a very diverse population. So anything related to different cultures and things like that, I think it's nice when you have somebody that can relate to patients in their own culture. It goes a very far way, a long way. We have a lot of resources here with interpreter services. We have a very robust interpreter services program. We have iPads on every floor. But that diversity is something that we're always looking for too. And of course, critical care, if you've worked in an ICU or anything like that before, but again, it's really not the resume that sticks out to me. It's those interviews and just having those, like Ray shared, that willingness to learn and that willingness to grow and to be a member of our team. That's what we're really looking for here. We're a part of AdventHealth, but East is its own culture, and we have a really great one here. So it's grown a lot of great leaders and nurses and people that have gone very far in the organization and people that have stayed here as well. So those things, resumes are important for sure, but those things, those interviews, those interviews are really important as well.
In the realm of culture, especially across AdventHealth in general, I would love to point out all of us wearing our heart badges that say, I care for you as I care for my whatever. And I would love if anybody feels comfortable sharing a little bit about that, because I think that that's a huge part of who we are. It's our why. I think that especially for somebody who is working in healthcare, it's vitally important that we keep a hold of our why, and we wear it on our sleeve, literally. But if anybody wanted to share a little bit about your why, I would love to hear that.
I'll go ahead and jump in on that one. What brought me to AdventHealth personally, I've been here for a couple of years. I started as a patient. When I say patient, I mean my daughter's mom was the patient. I was just a supportive dad. And so as a new dad and a supportive dad, it was very, very crucial to me that, you know, my wife and new babies got well taken care of. And that is my why and what brought me here. In addition to that, I have also been a patient, and my father-in-law currently right now is a patient, and things happen. And so I'm not on the clinical side. So you want to talk about not being in control of being able to take care of your family. That can be incredibly unnerving. But to come here and be part of a team that can deliver to your family and your community, whether you live here now or you're looking to relocate here, that level of care, it goes above and beyond any job satisfaction that me as a recruiter could possibly try to sell you on. I mean, the culture here is amazing, and it's the principles applied. I know we kind of backed off a little bit on talking about all our service standards and things of that nature, but guys, the meat and potatoes of it is this: the culture here is amazing. The support here is amazing. The career development here and opportunities here are amazing and outstanding. And I've come from very comparable faith-based organizations before as a recruiter, head and shoulders above anything I've been able to find out there for sure. So that's my 2 cents.
I have to confess, I have more than one heart badge and more than one why. And I say that because, gosh, you know, I think back through all the years, my father took his last breath here. My mom recovered from a stroke here, and my babies were born here. And so, you know, and I have one for my husband because I don't want him to feel left out, and he's had cared here too. So, you know, really that's what it's about. And I think Ray mentioned earlier, we are seeking people who care for our patients like they would care for their own family. And that really is us in a nutshell. And so those are my whys.
I would like to tag along on both Ken and Lydia. I think if you want to see one of our employees, someone in the hospital, light up, ask them about a name on their why. And the fun fact, sometimes it's not a family member. Sometimes it's a pet name. It's a dog or a cat or a bird, but they will light up and they will tell you stories, and it's fun. It's really interesting. And like Lydia said, I come from a big family, so I probably have had 7 badges. I won't confirm where I've stolen those badges from, but they have different names on them. So I try to make sure I represent everyone. So it's something that I truly enjoy.
I love it. And I love that you're willing to share about that. I had seen some questions and would love for anybody to speak on opportunities outside of clinical. So are you hiring or in need of anybody outside of clinical areas at East Orlando?
I can take that on, Angie. Absolutely. And as I was browsing through the chat, I think going back to even facilities, someone was asking from New York if we had something in facilities. So someone alluded earlier, you know, clinical teams, super important, but our support roles also play a critical role in the delivery of care to our patients, even though they might not directly provide the care, but we're constantly looking for talent outside of the clinical area. So currently we are looking for, we have openings for nutritional services, environmental services. So it's a broad variety of different other skills that we do need to continue to support our clinical teams. And I think we dropped the link. And if you're interested in areas outside of nursing as well too, just share your information and we'll connect with you so that you can connect with the right recruiter.
Thank you so much, Manny. And are there any other opportunities or programs that allow RNs to grow their career at AdventHealth East Orlando, and specifically in your new ICC unit?
I could address that question. We have what's called a professional excellence program that's sort of a career ladder, which is very lucrative, I have to say. It provides additional opportunities for enhanced education in specific areas, and then the expectation to give back to your unit by sharing your expertise, maybe partnering with education to present in services or support to your fellow staff members as a super user, we call it. But there's different levels. So for a level 1, upon achieving those, educational activities, it's an extra $1 an hour for every hour worked. The second level is $2 and $3 and $4. So it really encourages continued growth with financial reward, but with also that feeling of satisfaction of knowing that you're helping to grow your teammates. It encourages teamwork. So that's just one example of how there are opportunities within the role of the RN. Like Kelly mentioned earlier, there's also opportunities to grow in like the preceptor role or the relief charge nurse role. So all of those things are possibilities in partnership with the leadership team.
Another question I saw. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ray.
Sorry. I'd like to piggyback on what Lauren said. I think a phenomenal thing that both Kelly and Lauren has done is they've challenged growth on all of our employees. And sometimes newer nurses tend to be, maybe I'm not there yet, or maybe I don't have what I need to be there yet. And they've done a great job of saying, you're there, let's try this. And it's such a good feeling to see the after effects of that, because they'll come back and say, hey, thank you for that opportunity. Thank you for pushing me for trying this. And I really, truly enjoyed it. So it's really amazing what they do on this unit.
I love the love. So somebody had asked about referrals. And so if I'm an awesome nurse and I get hired at East Orlando and I want to refer my awesome nurse friends, are there referral bonuses? I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. I love it. Great. Thank you.
Angie, there is, and currently we're running our campaign, depending on the level of acuity of the individual that you refer, you could be eligible up to $7,500 in terms of a referral bonus. So we definitely encourage, and I think it's a great way to really work with your best friend, right? We want to make sure that you work with your best friend. So that campaign really targets and gives you that opportunity.
I think as well as referral bonus, Angie, here at East, our leadership team, especially our nurse manager team, is very close. We all talk to each other daily. We're very close. So we do a really good job here of promoting from within. So you'll see all the time, we borrow nurses from each other. We don't borrow, we grow them from here. So, we'll hear us often talking about, oh, this nurse really wants to go to ICU. And we're like, all right, bring them over. We show them around, we get them here. We identify those people early so we can really start moving them up here at our own campus, because we love that. And I think us having that, our leadership team having that close relationship really drives that home. And that's something that we've always prided ourselves on. And it's something that we're always looking for. We saw something in that candidate no matter where they were hired. So bringing them along and getting them to different places within our campus is important. I remember before I came to the ICU as the manager, I was a progressive care unit manager, and there was this transporter, and it was her first day on the job. And I was like, she amazed me. I just heard her talking to the patients when she was wheeling them into one of my rooms. So I stopped her and I said, what's your story? Like, where I've not seen you before. I've worked here for a long time. I know a lot of people on the campus. Where are you from? And she shared with me that she was waiting to get into nursing school and all this. And I'm like, okay, so after your first semester of nursing school, you're going to come find me and I'm going to hire you as a nurse tech. And she did. And she's amazing. So she worked for me as a nurse tech, and then she became a nurse. So she's a graduate nurse in the PCU floor, and she's going to transition to the ICU soon. So it's really that growth, and that sums up East Orlando to a T. We're always looking for those people, no matter where you're working.
I think that is such a beautiful story. Excuse me. And I love that you shared that. And it is a wonderful way to round out what it's like at East Orlando Advent Health. Thank you, all of you wonderful panelists. I had such a great time with you today. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining us today. If you enjoyed listening to our team members and leaders and are interested in joining the Advent Health East Orlando team, visit us at our facility landing page. It has all of our openings and opportunities available there. You can sign up for job alerts if you're not seeing the one that resonates with you right now, but we are available to you. Davian is going to add all of these wonderful links and goodies in the chat for you. Again, thank you for joining us today. And if anyone has any last words that they want to say in these final moments, jump in and go ahead. Okay, wonderful. Thank you again for joining us. We wish you all wonderful holidays and look forward to connecting with you soon.